This house on the right-hand side is where our house was. This same tree, actually, same tree that has always been here. And that big gum tree up the back there used to be full of fruit bat. They would come and screech all night. And I was very happy. And life was pretty good. It was pretty good. It happens suddenly. My partner basically said to me one day, we don't have any money left. But anyway, it's sort of too hard to kind of even comprehend, really. He just kept saying to me, don't worry about money, don't worry about money. Everything's under control. You just keep doing your thing. But then this day he said, it was a Saturday, and he said, we don't have any money left. The removalists came and basically took everything. Homelessness was not even on my radar. I had never, ever considered that I would be homeless. Never.
Where are we? What the hell is going on? The dust has only just begun to fall. Crop circles in the carpet, sinking feeling. Spin me round again and rub my eyes. This can't be happening when busy streets a mess with people would stop to hold their heads heavy. Hide and seek.
For many years, owning a house was known as the Great Australian Dream. The belief was that home ownership would lead to a better life. A home represents more than just bricks and mortar, more than a roof over your head. It is a shelter, a safe place to live, giving us security and a sense of belonging. Australia was called the lucky country, a land of hope and opportunity. The myth was that if you worked hard enough, you could achieve anything. The aim was for many to own a quarter-acre block in the suburbs with a clothesline out the back. Housing developments were everywhere. New suburbs were sprawling and the property market was booming.
We're selling!
For a while, the future looked rosy. Politics and economics change everything. As time passed, the Great Australian Dream has slowly eroded. And for many people, that dream has been shattered.
I've never had bottled water in my life, you know, so this is my form of bottled water. And it looks really good when the police pull you over and go, excuse me, at 7:30 in the morning, and you go, hang on one sec. Have you been drinking? No, that's water. I never imagined this would happen to me. I think if I hadn't bought the van, I wouldn't have a room. That's all it is. It's a room on wheels. I mean, my great-grandmother went through the Depression, watching all the men go off to war, the Spanish flu. You know, she went through all of that, and she came out the other side. So when it rains, the awnings can actually fill up with water unless you've got your whole setup. Anything you'd usually do in a home, I can do. The only things I don't have is access to my own shower and toilet. I'm used to living in environments where you could have mice running through your spaces, you know, you could have water rats, you could have cockroaches. Most people don't realise they're all out there when you go to sleep. People don't know that that's part of your environment when the lights go down. So it's not the easiest environment to be in unless you're on holidays. And I'm certainly not on holidays. I've literally had to pour all my money into this van. I felt hidden and I felt a little bit invisible, even to some of my friends. You lose people because they can't face you. You lose people because you don't know what's going on in their world. You lose people because they don't want to be you. They don't want to look at you. They don't want you as their mirror.
I'm going a bit ranty now, but it's absolutely crazy, vile, and reprehensible how our society treats homelessness. There's this thing in the current neoliberal agenda of wanting everyone to think that people are homeless because it's their own fault. Technically, homeless just means I don't have a home. That can happen to anybody. Anyone could end up homeless in 2 weeks. Everyone who looks down on homeless people thinks these homeless people have done something wrong, or they deserve, or they just need to work hard, or they shouldn't be on drugs or whatever, not realising that they could be the next homeless person. I didn't think I could end up homeless, and I did. I was homeless for over 10 years. I got sacked from my job and had my relationship fall apart on the same day. And then 2 weeks later, because I couldn't afford to pay my rent, I lost the house as well. So I went through the lost partner, lost job, lost house, which just 3 of the 5 most stressful things you can have in your life all happened at once. So from that, I ended up on the street. I had a generic white van and I pulled up to park and just went to sleep in the back. I actually slept in one particular park for almost a year in my car.
I want to introduce Claire G. Coleman. I've heard Claire speaking with moving insight about her experiences of being homeless. Claire's novel, Terra Nullius, won the Norma K. Hemming Award, which is a science fiction award named for Australia's first significant female science fiction writer. It's a powerful story of colonial dispossession, oppression, and the resistance to the invader settlers.
I may offend some of you. That's not a surprise. I always offend somebody. This land was taken by force in a violent genocidal war. Every square inch of the Australian continent is unceded indigenous land, and everyone needs to always remember that. Australia is not the country you think it is. Australia is racist, sexist, xenophobic and homophobic. So don't make me choose which cause to fight for. For I am both, I am more. Black and queer, Aboriginal and LGBTIQ, A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
We apologise for the laws and policies of successive parliaments and governments that have inflicted profound grief, suffering and loss on these, our fellow Australians.
I was going to the Kevin Rudd's apology speech, so I was driving to Canberra in my dodgy old van, and I blew my radiator. I got back to Melbourne. I had nowhere to stay. I went from living in a van in relative comfort to sleeping rough on the streets. So I was living in Flinders Street Station, living in tram stops and bus shelters. It's lonely. Somebody will wake you up. It's a bit frightening. I didn't want to be a burden on anyone else's life. I think for a while I didn't even tell my parents that I was homeless.
I'm a resident of the Shire for 20 years. I came from Germany to escape the cold of the German winter. I found a studio in Majorcum. Decent rent, not too much for me. After 3 years and 3 months, my landlord turned to me and he said, "Nada, I think I have to give you notice due to lack of spiritual alignment." He didn't like it that I would not join him in meditating in his little meditation hut. I had other harassment from mainly male landlords. They would turn up at dinner time with a bunch of flowers on my doorstep, uninvited. You know, I pay rent, so just leave me be. I have actually lived in a car for nearly 3 years now. Today is a lucky day. No rain so far. I'm not sure whether everyone would approve, but I leave my kitchen scraps somewhere out in the bush. People are offended about all sorts of funny things. So I'm just gonna put that out into the bush here. Getting a bit darkish already. But I won't tempt more mosses in switching on a light. Here we go. I feel as though the car is actually my armor. I don't even need curtains. I refuse putting curtains on my windows because when I wake up in the morning, I can look up straight into the sky. At night, I see the night sky. I don't get bored, but sometimes I get lonely. I just want to curl up into the fetal position and disappear, not feel anymore, because it feels very sad.
Can't escape all the pain and suffering. I'm forever knocking on a stranger's door. Hopefully tonight I'll sleep under a blanket.
Homelessness is often seen as a man's issue. What comes to mind is a man sleeping rough on a park bench. You don't tend to think about someone's daughter, mother, grandmother. As new data emerges, 400,000 women over 50 have been identified as homeless or on the brink of homelessness. These women are all over the country. They are all over the world. It is a crisis on our doorstep. It's always been a struggle for women to have equality in Australia. Although there has been some progress, the fight for equality in the so-called lucky country continues to this day.
Why had I worked for all those years for people
Women may have raised children, had a reduced earning capacity, cared for aging parents, put careers on hold, and had little or no superannuation. Now, as they age, and with no prospect of getting back into the workforce, they find themselves as part of the growing and shameful statistic of homelessness. They are often hidden, out of sight, out of mind.
When will this heartache ever end?
You're not going to see many women actually sleeping rough because they will sleep in their car. They will sleep out of the public eye. Women won't even tell their families what they're experiencing. You know, I think everyone would have been so surprised if we said that women in their 50s is the fastest cohort of people experiencing homelessness in Australia. You know, in the 21st century, no one expected that. And the reasons for it are complicated. Superannuation, family violence, pay equity, a whole range of issues that, have led to what we're seeing as a crisis. Good morning, Peter.
Good morning, how you doing?
Good. And the photos are already uploaded.
Already up, yeah.
Sometimes it looks so bloody big when we see that hundreds of thousands of people are either homeless or on the brink of it.
Well, it really started from a conversation with my daughter. It was at the time when the Flinders Street Station Grand Hall was in the news, how it had been empty for 10 years, and below it, people sleeping rough. And I said to her, how many other buildings in Melbourne are empty? And from that, Housing All Australian has really evolved. Pop-up shelter is a short-term solution. It's not a solution for the housing in the long term because it's only temporary. But why not use buildings that are lying empty to house people that are really in housing stress? It was an old home that got converted into an office, and now we're converting it back into a home. There's not going to be another toilet there. In here, with the goodwill of the property industry, we can refurbish these buildings for short-term use with an appropriate not-for-profit like the YWCA or Salvation Army, and there are many others. It is not a total solution. We must build a lot more housing.
Well, it's a great space.
Yeah, and it's big enough that we can, as you said, get people in, training in, upskill people if they want to re-educate, so then they can get back into the workforce as well.
Thanks, Rob. That's fantastic.
You're past a certain age, experience counts for nothing, apparently. It's all about disposability. Burn them up.
Hi, Manny.
It's consumerist in the same way. Young and new, use it until the next newer, younger thing comes along. So you just think, who are you anymore? I'm not the me I always knew or thought I was. I didn't know such places existed. I didn't know about women's housing because that wasn't in my experience or it wasn't relevant to me. That was for poor women in awful situations who had to leave due to domestic violence or poor single mums trying to bring up kids and like barely coping. It was for people like that. It wasn't for me. I was never going to be on benefits or welfare or a disability benefit. Never going to happen, never. Old age pension, sure, maybe. But of course, it did. You can go from being incredibly successful, have everything in place, and then, oops, a few little quirks, a couple of trip-ups you never expected, you hadn't actually allowed for, and there you are on the doorstep of homelessness. I lived in Sydney for 13 years. I was in advertising for many years, creative director, very high-powered job, very successful, lots of pressure. But I was an unmedicated, bipolar depressive. I was diagnosed as bipolar when I was 20. I went through years of taking pretty much every antidepressant on the market and trialling them. I was on antipsychotics, I've been on anti-epilepsy drugs, I've been on all sorts of things. I've been sleeping 17 hours a day on bloody Seroquel and risperidone. And eventually that caught up with me when I had the year from hell. I lost my mother, my brother, and my lover in a 12-month period. I had no money. I had to get back to Melbourne, find somewhere to live, started work again, got myself an apartment, lost my job in retail, could not get another one. Just could not. Could no longer afford to be paying $400 a week rent. Went through super, went through everything like that, and then you get to the stage where you're stage of stasis where you can't go forward, you can't go back. I couldn't afford to live there and I couldn't afford to move. And I honestly did not know what I was going to do. And somehow, this lovely friend had a friend of hers that she was referring to a place called women's housing. That is the only way I found out about women's housing, who came to my rescue. I found somewhere to live. That was a major turning point. I feel secure. They told me I have this apartment as long as I want it or need it. If, perchance, George Clooney breaks up with Amal and, we finally hook up, as it should be, he can move into my apartment with me, but it will still be my apartment in my name.
This van is called Rosie, and it took me a while to decide on a name, but I always felt very close to my grandmother, and that's the name that came to me. I'll call her Rosie. I've been houseless, not homeless, since 2018, and I bought the bus in December 2018, so pretty much I have lived in her ever since.
This is my home. I don't want to be living in the suburbs. I don't want to be stuck in one place. You know, my dad was a wanderer. You know, my children are there, but they're busy with their lives. So this is my home and this is my little life, and life's good. I used to think, I need a home, I need stability, I need a house. And then after 17 years of marriage, it was no more. I was a stay-at-home mum, so I didn't have any money and I had to fight for child support. I can still remember a moment in time where I realised I was on my own. I thought, how do I do this? Yeah, one day I just thought, well, this is it. This is my life now. And I think from then I started to pick up. I probably thought too, there's got to be more to life than this. It was a real game changer. I decided that I didn't want to be stationary or living in a house. So I went for a big trip. This bus has just been the best thing ever. I guess I haven't found home apart from this bus. Yeah. It's the choices you make. And sometimes fear of the unknown prevents those choices. Like, I used a fair whack of my super to buy this bus, so I could be thinking, gee, she's done a lot of kilometres, you know, maybe something will go wrong with the engine. But I talk to her all the time. And she gets the best oil, the best diesel. She gets service regularly. She gets her new tyres. You know, so all those things, you think, well, that could possibly wipe me out. Well, don't think it, you know. So much of it's just here. As long as I can drive and get up on my bed, I'll just keep doing it.
As well as state and federal governments, there are hundreds of organisations, charities, not-for-profits and individuals working around the country to assist and find accommodation for the growing number of women in housing stress. Even if a woman is lucky enough to be given a place to live, it's not a gift, it's not free. She must use a portion of her pension to pay the rent. This type of accommodation may look fancy, but it is often located far from the woman's social network and has little or no connection to the life she once had.
I'm from England. I came when I was 16. And in that period of time, since I've been in Australia, I have moved 25 times. My house in Brighton is not there anymore for me, but it comes into my head a lot more than I actually realise. I think I must have been walking past a building site. So I'm here in Newport. I'm not 100% happy living here in women's housing. Even though it was wonderful to have a roof over my head, I wasn't in my comfort zone. It's scary. I actually didn't realise that all this homelessness is happening for women 55 and over. I know that I'm not in my comfort zone, but hey, I've got my apartment now. I hope that I won't ever have to move from there. I don't have the emotional strength to move again. I don't want to. I want to make the most of everything I've got now. And My mum died in 2018. I then found out from the solicitor that in her will, she made it quite clear that myself and my brother were to have nothing of hers at all. And the house has been left to neighbours. She was my mum, and she really hated us. I'm not quite sure why, but she did. A lot of Christmases I was on my own. I just feel that it's a family time, and as I don't have family, I prefer probably not to acknowledge it too much or think too much about it, and probably treat it as another day. Here I am at 71, and I don't think I've still woken up to the fact that, you know what, sometimes life just doesn't turn out how you think it will.
I'm here to advise you that we now have a confirmed case of the 2019 novel coronavirus in Victoria, the first case in Australia.
People always talk about COVID was a perfect time to watch Netflix and eat Uber Eats. Well, what if you don't have Netflix and Uber Eats? You've got staring at the street and no food. I was struck by the number of people who were whining about lockdown, who were in a privileged position, when really all that they were being asked to do was sit on their arse and watch television for a year. Being homeless during the 2020 shitstorm would have been a horrific nightmare. I can imagine how bad it would be, and I'm really glad I didn't have to go through being homeless in this situation. I'm not saying that necessarily homelessness is a positive thing, but I guess what I'm thinking is, if there's a crisis that puts everyone on the same level, then someone who's been through it before is more likely to survive it.
That's good.
I've finished my third novel and I've written a commissioned play. I wrote that entirely during lockdown. It's about 4 people, 2 of them homeless, 2 of them kind of middle class, trapped in a disused train tunnel during a pandemic outbreak apocalypse. And I pitched that before COVID happened. I always thought there was a chance of getting back off the street. The thing that kept me doing what I was doing more than anything else was hope that things would get better one day. If anything, having been homeless has left me a little bit paranoid of something going wrong again. You get this kind of paranoia that that I could mess up and my life could go to shit again. So I tend to go for things that are kind of security in case of a disaster. It's like being constantly with heightened paranoia about ending up homeless. The writing that has gotten me out of homelessness and out of poverty started while travelling in this car. I think subconsciously I don't want to get rid of the positivity this car has given me, in that I've built up from nothing to doing okay, starting from experiences while travelling in this old hunk of shit. Her name's Helga Hogarth, also known as Helga Hogarth the Unstoppable, but she is now really dying. She's not well. She's rusted out, so. But yeah, this is my old car.
New Year's Eve came around and I didn't know what this next year was going to look like. I had completely shaved my head. Everyone thought I was losing my mind. I felt like I needed to do something to show what it looks like to be in the van, what it looks like to be without a home, what it looks like to be in view of the public. Last June, I was evicted from a 10-year tenancy during COVID. So everything I own, it's all in the storage. I'm an activist by nature since a very early age. I like to talk about my work, and right now my work is being homeless. So I put an event together. It's to discuss and allow people to witness a homeless person sitting in a park doing their thing, what they go through during the day. When you're in your own home, you wouldn't be expecting the public to just wander around your house and check out what you're doing, but to state the obvious that my life is not private anymore. I was living in an industrial estate for 10 years. It was predominantly my art studio, all my art materials, all my tools. It was very much my home as well as my workplace. Last year, with COVID going on, my whole industry was shut down. But I sent them a letter and said, I have no work, so I can only pay half your rent at the moment. They never spoke to me. They never warned me, they never said anything, and they said the reason that they gave me an eviction was because I was living there. Why evict me in the middle of COVID? 31st of May, my birthday, they turned the lights off. I had nowhere to go. I literally had nowhere to go. I had no removalists to do anything with, and within 48 hours, I had to make all that happen. I felt guilty. I felt shame. I couldn't believe this was me. I couldn't believe after all these years that I would be in this situation. I didn't know who to trust, what to do. I knew I had to keep the van going no matter what. I was not used to being in the van. It was a really difficult transition. I had bought the van for a reason, and that was so that I could do events. I had no idea that everything would go into lockdown across Australia. So that van was now kind of obsolete for that purpose. But yeah, instead it was now my new home. Look, I think people who are homeless could be anyone. It doesn't matter what age you are. I know people who have lost their jobs recently, who are in the 20s and 30s bracket. They're not even getting supported by their mates. Because it's like, how long do you have someone on your couch for? Until I get work flowing and until I get some form of stability again, I don't know what there is. I don't know what there is for me over 50. I don't know what there is for anyone.
The massive housing boom over the last few decades has pushed up house prices, and the cost of renting has skyrocketed. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights states, everyone has the right to an adequate standard of living that includes housing. Whether it's a utopian vision or not, at its core, homelessness is the responsibility of governments. But also, as a society, We cannot ignore this situation any longer. There is just not enough affordable housing. There is not enough public housing. Without governments taking charge, the non-government support services are buckling under the pressure. For many people, home ownership is a dream out of reach.
Oh, these are so beautiful.
Oh.
And there's a sense of safety and there's a sense of being of a home.
I want to thank you all for coming to the opening of Garden House. In the last year, over 2/3 of the people who were accessing homelessness services were females, and the main reason for accessing those services was a result of family and domestic violence. In the majority of the cases, women need to choose between either staying in an unsafe home or becoming homeless. And while transitional housing like this, it doesn't solve homelessness, but it really provides a lifeline for those that need it in the moment.
For 46 years of marriage, I struggled. Then when I came here, I'm secured, I feel safe, and everything is okay. I got married at the age of 21. We were very secure. We have own properties and cars and servant maids and all that. We have so much. But from the beginning, my husband kept me like in the prison. He was like a military man, applied the military rules in the house. He used to assault me and he used to push me out of the doors and all that. I had to sit for a long time outside the house. Throughout my life, I was with the family. And this is the first time I came off the family and living alone. But still I feel these residents are my family, I feel. I became independent, I became free from everything, all the bondages and all the struggles in the life. And together we share with each other and we support each other. So I'm happy here.
Cinnamon! Hello! 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 Good kid. Hello! Good kid. Yeah, it's cooler. Yeah, hello. Yeah. After I left Byron Bay, I travelled to Darwin. Didn't really enjoy it there. And I was heading straight back to Brisbane to see my children. And then I saw on the Grey Nomads there was this Clearview Brumby Rescue, and they needed people to come and help them out just with the feeding of the horse, because they both work full time. We've all done the right things, you know. We've got married, we've had our children, we've stayed at home, we've raised our children, and, you know, I gave up a career when I got pregnant, and the marriage breaks down and you don't have a house, so you've got no career as such to fall back on, and you're still busy raising children. Try and get a bank loan over 50, you won't get one. I would be thinking now, if I wanted to settle and rent a house, say in Brisbane where my children are, I couldn't afford to do that. So in one way, I'm fortunate I did have enough to buy a fully self-contained van. This year's just been totally different, and I've kind of stopped my travelling halfway through, partly because of the COVID situation, but another reason is too that it's just too difficult now, and it's just, if you can't book into a caravan park, you've got to find some place out in the bush or a go-through road or somewhere quiet just to hide, basically, so you don't get picked up and fined. So it's made this lifestyle a lot more difficult. I don't really get lonely as such, but it hasn't been the same. I know I kind of lost a little bit of my passion for it, and that, I think that creates a little bit of tiredness. It's like I'm just tired of this for now. Just not feeling like it used to. So I don't know if that's what's happening this year with more people on the road, or if I'm going back to places I've already been and seen. But I don't think it's that. It just doesn't feel the same. I don't think about it too much, about what I'll do as I get older. I can imagine that living in a van will have its difficulties. You know, I'll get a step to step up here, just little things like that. Yeah, I honestly don't know. Hopefully I would find a quiet place just to be.
I have this tendency to romanticize my situation. It kind of motivates me to get up every morning, to make my tea, you know, to keep on moving. But there is another side, obviously. Part of the society we live in just isn't happy with the choice I made of me living in a car, not leaving the area where I just want to stay here, where my home is, where my friends are. I look in other people's cars who live in their car, and I wouldn't want to share with them, because some people are very messy, and some people are kind of neat and tidy, like me.
COVID keeps staying one step ahead. Case numbers are up again, and the virus is spreading deeper into regional New South Wales. A large part of the state's north has just gone into lockdown, including Tamworth and Byron Bay. We'll have more on
I had managed to live full-time, 24/7 in my car, over 1,000 nights. Then I got this first offer, basically, of, you know, moving into a place with my own bathroom. That's a very important factor to me. I have no drama with sleeping in my car, and I have no drama in preparing my meals out of the car. Bathroom is an issue. I always missed the bathroom. That's the one thing that is, I don't know, just, there is not much in the Shire that is above disgusting, actually, in public amenities. This place usually used as a retreat center due to the COVID-19 lockdown. The person who runs this normally a retreat center, he kept getting cancellations, so it's empty standing. So he offered us to stay here due to the lockdown. I was the last one to arrive of 5 women and 2 children. Immediately, I started to unpack everything in my car, sort stuff into what's really essential to me and give other stuff away. So the fact that I have space here to kind of reorganize myself, it's pretty clear that there will be a day when I have to move out again. What I don't know is when that will be. I have been given nearly 3 more weeks. There's a lot of uncertainty. I'm a bit afraid of the day when I have to leave again, you know, to put it all back in my car and in storage. So I spend my time here in the bad weather. I couldn't leave even if I wanted to. If I don't really take care that it stays dry inside my vehicle, it gets smelly. I had that one, and I just don't risk it anymore. So that means I have to have a meticulous plan. So, like, I would not put my umbrella wet into the car. I would not put my solar panel wet into the car. The candle gives me an idea of warmth and coziness.
I really love the rain. I learnt to drive in the rain. I love dancing in the rain. I'm happy when it's raining because I know it's filling up everyone's water tanks. But when you're living in the van, it adds a different element to me now. You know, I feel like crying when it rains. It's very hard to look from that space out because you're watching everyone else's world occur.
The unpredictable nature of living without a roof over your head is just one of many complications that homeless women face. Whether you're sleeping rough or in short-term or in temporary accommodation, without stable housing, it is a roller coaster of emotions. Anxiety, trauma, fear, and trying to survive each and every day. There is a need to reimagine a new Australian vision with the political will to rebuild the hopes that we once had. The great Australian dream might be over. Maybe it's time to build a new dream.
Well, next I'll be heading down to Brisbane to see my children and my grandsons. So I'll probably stay there for a little bit and catch up. And after that, I'm not sure. No set plans. I kind of fly by the seat of my pants and Intuition comes into it as well. It's like I know what to do, when to do it, and I trust that. I'll be travelling as long as I'm able to. Home is where I park my bus.
How many times did we try to save tomorrow? But the tides are a-changing, love. Spaces that held us once drift away. And all that we have lost sinks into the past and decays. So I